Kia ora. Hey, this section of your research is called Making a Plan. It's actually another word for that is methodology. So the methodology is the way in which you're going to research to make sure that this is a fair test and that you can get good data that's going to help you test your hypothesis and say whether it's true or false, and that your data is reliable and your conclusions are valid. We'll talk about that later on in those sections. But in this section, you've got to describe the aim of your research, which is to find out if people's perceptions of coastal erosion change depending on where they live in the Eastern Bay of Plenty, and the data that you're going to collect. So what you're going to do with your data is you're going to go to 3 locations. You're going to in each location do an annotated sketch to look at the geographic area, to look at the area. You know, what is the beach profile like? Is there anything that's gives you evidence that there's coastal erosion already? And those are going to be done on site. We'll do those on the trip. We're also going to do a sediment analysis. So we're going to look at the different types of sand, and that has an influence on the types of erosion that happens, because sand that's heavier or coarser is less likely to erode because it's heavier, and coarser means it sticks together, whereas less angular or rounder sand that's smaller tends to blow and disappear and be eroded easier. You're also going to do a beach profile in each of the 3 locations, and that's going to give you like a graph you'll end up drawing to show how steep the beach is, how steep the beach angle is. And that's going to be really important to illustrate that in different locations, potentially the beach profile is different, and people in those locations might feel that they're more vulnerable because of the different profile, whether it's steep or whether it's flatter. So you're also going to do a survey and ask some questions. So you've got to, in each of the 3 locations, ask questions that relate to your hypothesis. So you're going to ask people in those locations about how they feel about their views on coastal erosion, whether they're worried about it, and you're going to have to write that as a survey and do some survey questions. You're going to have to work through that in class. What you've also got to do in this section is really make sure that you explain why you're doing each method. So why are you doing a beach profile? Why are you doing a sediment analysis? Why are you doing an annotated sketch? Why are you doing a questionnaire? For each question, why are you asking that question, and what are you hoping to find out? How is that going to help you test your hypothesis? And how are you going to remove bias? One of the things about making sure it's a fair test is that really in all 3 locations, to make sure it's a fair test and remove bias, you're going to use the same equipment. You're going to spend a similar amount of time there. In terms of your questionnaires that you're going to ask the public, you're going to ask the same sample size, as in the same number of people in each location. That's your intent. Why are you going to do that? Why are you going to ask 10 questionnaires in each location? Is it because that makes it a fair test? Because if you did 1 in one location and then 10 in another, you're going to get a misrepresentation of the data you get. You're also going to list the equipment you need. So this is just about you describing what you're doing and explaining why you're doing it in each of those 3 locations. Kia ora.